Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Here are 9 powerful tips for you to become more ambitious in life. Inshallah ta'ala. Let's get started. It's the fire in the belly, ambition. You have to have that raw desire to achieve or succeed in any given goal. Whether you want to get married or this, you have to have ambition. And to simply put it, it is literally that fuel of motivation. And alhamdulillah, fortunately, something that we can create within ourselves. You just have to have the right mind frame. You have to shift that mindset to be able to know what's actually important and what's valuable and what's a priority to yourself. So if you're aware of these tools to get it, then we can develop boundless ambitions, inshallah ta'ala. So the first tip is to actually take risks. The biggest risk in life is not taking risks itself. So you don't fear the risk. So to be ambitious means you have to be willing to experience, fear or anxiety. You have to be able to tolerate this. It's something that you craft over time. Of course, it comes from the tawfiq of Allah. So if you want to become more ambitious in life, you have to give yourself the opportunity to take the risks. Nobody else is going to come and say, you know what, here, just take it, serve it to you on a platter. So you never know what's around the corner. The opportunity that was just waiting for you around the corner. But had you taken that simple risk on facing it head on, inshallah, you'll be able to actually, better yourself. So now the second one will be exploring new thinking. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes, group thinking, that you go with someone else and you hear their ideas, but you don't actually craft your own, or you don't actually allow yourself to think, is the main killers of ambition. Because now you're accepting everybody else's opinion and everybody else's beliefs and everybody else's weaknesses in that sense. So a collection of fear and anxieties that they have, they instill that in you if you don't allow yourself to explore new realms. Of course, it's good to actually hear the opinions of others, of course, within the boundaries of the Sharia, of course, because we don't want to hear no kufar, no, statements from them and their thinkings. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about listening from your own brothers. Sah? So then, but again, if you have the ability to explore new thinkings and actually take your time and dissect it, you can actually create a unique persona of yourself. And you can actually observe this from an unbiased perspective. So again, you're not taking someone else's, and you can choose the better opportunity for yourself and not be the linear route that others have taken. And of course, now I'll say tip number 3. Tip number 3. I forgot how to have 3 fingers there. Alhamdulillah, I've got 10 fingers. 3. Tip number 3 is to visualize better times. Look, sometimes we think negatively and we don't think about the good times that may come. For example, Jannah. Yes, we have not seen it, because no eyes have seen it, no ears have heard of it, no mind can perceive it. So, but at the point of it is that if you visualize, like you take high performing athletes, that being said, the way they've realized that it's really the power of the mind over the matter, which I keep telling you guys, you gotta craft your mind. This is the most important thing, that after, of course, believing in Allah and the religion we're talking about, for yourself, in terms of it's your mind that you need to craft. So they've realized that the ambition is the state of mind, when they're facing their challenges. So if they can actually tune and visualize, past the struggles, they can actually succeed and conquer that fear that they were, that they created upon themselves. Because again, you don't take the risk. Going back to tip number 1, if you don't take the risk, you won't know. So for yourself, visualize yourself coming out of it on the other side of the struggle. And when you see that, keep the better image of, okay, what's life going to be? Because remember, you have 2 choices: the life you are right now, or the life you could have. So put that in mind, because at the end of the day, the situation of the Muslim is always good. So think about better times. And fourthly, I give you the fingers. Fourthly now, filter your thoughts. With today's social media and so forth and everything else, and people's infiltrating you left, right, and center in terms of, their ideas, you don't have time consciously or subconsciously to actually realize that, you know what, somebody else's belief is being put on you. And that happened to me in the past. But alhamdulillah, with having clarity, you know, and taking the time, but with the tawfiq of Allah, it's allowed me to actually, you know what, filter my thoughts, which is what tip number 4 is about for you. You can actually, you know, remove the negative thoughts that create barriers for yourselves. Because again, from what people tell you, you'll never be able to get this, or this is not for us, we can't get this. This is actually very negative, and it causes doubts and fears. But the positive ones allow us to move forward. Hence, from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the situation of the Muslim is always good. Hence what I'm saying to you guys, so think about the positive. You know, again, growing up in terms of people's beliefs, they will tell you the glass is half full, meaning that you are pessimistic. And if the glass is, no, actually, if the glass is half full, you're optimistic, correct? If the glass is half empty, then you're a pessimist. But I come to learn that, you know what, whether the glass is half empty or half full, alhamdulillah. So this is the point, and this is the mindset you need to adopt. Filter through the thoughts, get out your comfort zone, and pursue your goals. Filter through the thoughts. Tip number 5 now. Don't be afraid of failures, because failures is not what people make it seem to be, as if your life is over. Khalas. Failure is if you end up in Jahannam. A'udhu billah. We ask Allah to protect us from that. Either you win some or you lose some, but we learn from it. Of course, we want to win, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to give us victory in this dunya wal akhirah, which is the most important. But you should not quit based on, oh, okay, I took an L here, that's it. And you should not view that L, ideally this failure, as that's it, it's a B and O. But no, rather it's a learning experience, an opportunity that you came out of it. Okay, I've learned something. What can I learn from it? No matter what you go through, what can I take from it? What benefit can I take from this? And then you can always keep on exploring and improving and tweaking it, and like say to yourself, okay, this is what happened. Inshallah, I can, you know, pivot from this side and take it and approach it a different way. But then, inshallah, you come forward winning. And of course, acting. Tip number 6 will be you acting upon it. As I've mentioned before, action can change things, or action changes things, right? Because I like to use can rather than can't. We are stuck in this negative mindset of today of you can't do this, because we have not rewired our mind and had a foundation where our mind actually understands that, no, it is possible. Everything is possible, inshallah, within the realms that Allah has permitted us to do. So it's not impossible to think that you can't be the successful, wealthy brother who actually gives up his wealth for the sake of Allah, or actually attain the wealth for the sake of Allah. So you need to be able to act. You have 2 choices. If you're always trying to find the perfect moment, you're never going to find that perfect moment. That is not something that is there. The perfect moment is what you make of it. Every moment is essentially is perfect. So you need to adopt that mentality of your action actually can change things. So by having that, you have the confidence in your ability then to actually adapt to these imperfect situations, where wherever we are, you know, you without hesitation, you go forth and you make it better. So now it leads into tip number 7. You do not quit. It is going to get tough. It is going to get bumpy, but the ambitions always go in hand with action. And like I just mentioned, however, sometimes you may find that the action is taking longer to bring about the results you want. And that's natural. The insan was created to be hasty. And I've been hasty in my life too. I'm sure you have too. I believe you can relate. So in that regards, you have to take a step back sometimes and relax and think, okay, am I pushing myself too hard? Because yeah, sometimes you might burn out. If you don't have the proper foundation, you're going to get burnt out. So rewiring your head to know that, okay, maybe I just need to take a step back, reevaluate. Am I pushing too hard? Be balanced. Everything has its rights. Your body has its rights, and so forth. So give it its due proportion. There, you take a rest, and then you push on forward. You don't actually just give up. So the last, number 8 then, because that was tip number 7. Number 8 is invest your time wisely. If anything, that's the first one that you should actually think about. Time is precious. And the wisest of people the ones who seem to achieve a lot and the most, always put in more time and energy to reach the objective. While we, unfortunately, with our limiting beliefs that we had, that we're trying to overcome now, inshallah, we've allowed ourselves to think that, you know what, no, this is just not for us, we can't get it. But no, invest in it. The early stages of any project or anything you start is always going to be hard. I remember when I started reading the Quran, subhanAllah, and I'm sure you can relate to that too. You know, it might be challenging for someone who's not, you know, a native speaker, but even they have their own challenges. Allah knows best. But at the same time, when you invest time and it grows, it becomes, you get that momentum from it, and then you can build upon it to be more ambitious. So instead of saying, I'm going to memorize the whole Quran, for example, you could say that, you know what, I memorized this surah. Then by the time you finish, you know what, you've memorized the juz, alhamdulillah. Then you know what, it's 2, then 3, then 4. The hardest step is taking the first step. But this is where you get to in the end. So the last tip, which is tip number 9, and tip number 9 is to actually stick to the plan. This is sometimes what people tend to actually just, you know what, they do everything else they need to do, but they don't stick to the plan. Sticking to the plan by identifying the goals, the schedules, and everything that you've created, staying firmly committed to it. The process will always allow you to achieve more in life if you stick to it. And I had to learn that the hard way. And I've taken a decade, but alhamdulillah, Allah's given me the tawfiq to understand. But all of these experiences that I've gone through, that's made me better to learn, to actually craft my mind to be where I am today. And alhamdulillah. So this will get you closer into becoming more ambitious and successful, a successful version of yourself if you stick to the plan and you know what you have to do in order to become successful in this life and the akhirah, inshallah ta'ala. And I'll give you a bonus one. So all of this that I've just mentioned to you, if you really want to succeed, do an abundance of istighfar. Seek the forgiveness of Allah Azza wa Jal. Additionally, make lots of dua. The dua is the weapon for the believer. If you want to succeed, ask Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't rely upon the creation. Don't rely upon no human being to help you. We are just a means that Allah puts us in between, perhaps to help you. I could be a means to help you. If you found benefit from this, alhamdulillah. So I'll leave you with that. Fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.